Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life Stories Podcast, People Helping People. I'm Shara Goswick, your host. My guest today is Gail Showalter. Gail is an author and a speaker, and she is founder of Single Moms Empowered. She has a compassion for single moms because she was one herself for many years who want to further their education and work hard to create a good life for themselves and for their families. She knows what it takes, and she worked hard to get there herself. I have known Gail since I was a kid, so this was an honor for me to get to talk to her and share her story. This is encouraging. She's got a great program. If you know of a single mom in Southeast Texas that needs her help or that could use help with this program, I encourage you to check it out. Thanks for being here. Excited to talk to you. I think out of, I've talked to people on my podcast that I've known personally, but you're probably the one I've known the longest since I was a kid
Yeah.
whenever I knew you. But I think what you're doing is so important. And I love the way that you're helping single moms. But would you tell us your story of kind of how you got to the place of wanting to help single moms, why it was important to you?
Well, yeah, I was the mother of 3 children, as you know,
Mhm.
and, they're all about your age now, and, my husband left, and I was devastated. I didn't know how to live without my life being the same as it had been, so my rug was pulled out from under me, and I had to figure it out, and I did, but it took a while, so I always wanna tell moms that are in the same situation to give yourself some time, treat
Yeah.
yourself gently. And so I went through those years, and the thing that kinda turned me around was when I thought, I'm gonna do something for myself to make life better, and I went back to school. And it was really a big deal because my kids were little and I went to UT in Austin, and it was big project, and so
Yeah.
the story of how that worked out is miraculous. I tell it all the time. It was one of the first things that got me published in the year
Oh, wow.
2000, which was a long time ago, of course, but, that was a big turning point for me, and after I remarried 16 years later, uh,
Mhm.
I began to feel a heart pull for those moms, and I did projects. I did, retreats with them. We did special days where we treated them like queens.
Mhm.
We really did a lot for several years, and then it dawned on me after I started coaching that the moms who had some sort of, education, some sort of skill, uh,
Mhm.
that they could use for employment were doing so much better than the moms who did not. And
Yeah.
so I worked along with another organization. I established a nonprofit, and since then, that was in 2015 when the nonprofit started,
Mm.
and we have seen moms go through school, get jobs, change their lives. In fact, some of them are on my board here, you can
Oh,
see.
wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and that has just been a joy to me. And now, I don't have to do the work. I have there's a board that handles it all. Yeah, in fact, I just handed over a whole lot of files to some of them, and so they manage it, and, it's sort of my way of giving back in a way
Yeah.
that, makes a difference for a long term, because it's like serving 2 generations, the mom and their kids.
Sure.
Because the children watch their moms walk across that stage. Last May, there was one boy, a young boy, and, his mom was graduating, and when she walked across the stage, he screamed as loud as he could, "That's
Oh.
my mama." And I thought,
Oh.
That's the story I want
So
people to hear,
sweet. Yeah.
because a lot of people have, stigmatized single mothers, in the country,
Yeah.
like they're all on welfare. Well, they're not, and the ones I've worked
Right.
with are doing everything they can to not be on welfare.
Right.
So, we really do support those moms and do everything we can for them. Some of my time was spent writing because I wanted to get the stories out that I felt like would inspire single mothers.
Mhm.
So a lot of those stories were getting published, and finally I put them together in a book
Yeah.
so that it's easy to tell the whole story and give moms something to hang on to.
Right.
That's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a
In a
lot more
nutshell.
detail
I'm
than
sure there are. I'm sure there are. when you look back over your journey, I mean, I guess you probably jumped into going to school because it was a necessity. It was I mean, you have these 3 kids now and you have to do that. But what gave you the courage to say, "Okay, I can do this"? Or were you wondering the whole time, "Can I do this?"
Well, yeah, it wasn't a, "I'm gonna do this, da, da, da." It was more, "Okay, if I do this, what are the steps that I have to take?"
Yeah.
I didn't eat the whole enchilada at once.
Yeah.
I took one, and the article was one baby step at a time.
Yeah.
And this is where I really felt that the Spirit led me because, um, the first step was to get enrolled. First, I wanted to
Right.
find a college that had a degree that I could use.
Yeah.
This was to get a master's degree so that my income would improve as
Right.
a teacher in Texas. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And so I found a degree plan at the University of Texas that I thought would be great. I had some relatives in town, and so but I found out right away I had to take the GRE
Oh,
test.
yuck. I haven't taken that, but I heard it's not fun.
No, it isn't fun, and I studied for it, and I hadn't taken a standardized test in 18 years at that
Oh,
time,
wow.
and I did okay, but there's 3 sections. I did
Mhm.
okay on each section. They only counted 2 sections. They were testing another section,
Oh, gosh.
and I was, like, this close to passing everything. I mean, it wasn't that I didn't pass. They wanted you to have a the cutoff score.
Right.
I didn't quite make that. Now,
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, especially moms, I say, I could have said, well, this isn't meant to be. I can't
Right.
do this. These tests are to prove whether you can succeed and all this, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I looked into it and found out there was another option. I could go to the dean. I could get a couple of letters of recommendation, which I did. I
Mhm.
went 5 hours over there to the dean,
Right.
and I found out all I had to do was sit there so he could put a stamp on it and say, okay.
Wow.
And I thought, "This is, crazy." So that was my
Yeah.
first step, but even then, I didn't know if it was gonna work because I had to have childcare, I had to have a place to live, I had to move for the summer, etcetera, etcetera.
Yeah.
Now, I had just enough money from selling a house to make this work. The next step was childcare.
Mhm.
Just so happened, at that point in time, the University of Texas had a grant for continuing education older students.
Oh.
Guess how old you have to be an older student?
Just your age.
No,
Oh.
23.
Oh my gosh, come on.
Yes, well, I
That's
was only
hilarious.
43, so it was a lot different, and, they gave me a typewritten 2 sheets, single pa space, 100 daycare centers to look at,
Wow.
and I thought, "Wow, this is gonna be daunting, how am I gonna do
Yeah.
this?" And some of them, you wouldn't take your dog to, but
Right.
some of them were real elite,
Yeah.
like horseback riding, computer skills,
Oh
this,
my goodness.
and I thought, "That's too expensive." And so
Yeah.
then I played it down to one that was downtown Austin, and I thought,
Mhm.
how can they have a playground downtown?" It was a
Yeah.
church. So I went and drove there, and sure enough, they had this beautiful playground.
Wow.
And it had just won a bunch of awards,
Oh my
national
goodness.
awards, and I go in, and this woman, who was way older than I am now, took me through every room of that daycare center. She introduced me to the cooks, showed me
Oh.
the kitchen, and then she sat down and said, "Can I enroll your children?" And I said, "Now, see, you keep in mind that in Austin, I had been told you can't get kids in a daycare just for 3 months in the summer. Everybody holds those
Wow.
spots. They keep them because they
Yeah.
wanna lose them." I said, "You know I have 3 children." She said, "I know." And she
Oh.
enrolled all 3 kids. Okay, that's the second step. The third step was I had to have a place to live.
Yeah.
It was way too late to get into any kind of family housing at that
Yeah.
point. The time frame was getting narrower and narrower,
Yeah.
and I had a friend, Corliss, who lived and worked in Austin. She worked at the university, so she put post up little index cards on all the
Yeah.
bulletin boards that I was looking for a place to sublet for the summer, and
Yeah.
2 days before I would have had
Oh
to,
my gosh.
give up all of my, uh, deposits, she
Yeah.
calls and she says, "I found you a place to live."
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was a nice little apartment in Clarksville, real nice neighborhood. The lady was gonna be away for the summer and didn't wanna give up her apartment and move out.
Oh
I'd
my
have
goodness.
dishes, I'd have, furniture, and so that was taken care of. Now, here's the really neat part of this story. There's a shuttle bus that runs like a spider web all over
Sure.
Austin, all around the campus. The campus is like what, 400 acres or something? It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
And you do not want to try to park anywhere because
Right.
and then I had the kids and all that.
Yeah.
So these shuttle buses were gonna be really nice, right? So the first shuttle bus that I could get on was like half a block,
Oh my
not
goodness.
even a block from the apartment. So the kids and I could go there, get on the bus, get this, the first stop the bus made at the
Was it the
daycare
school?
center.
Oh my
At the
gosh.
daycare center,
That's
and then I come back,
amazing.
drop them off, get them settled, come out. There are 2 buses on either corner of that, church,
Wow.
and what do you know? They both go directly to the front door of the education
Oh
building
my gosh, that's
where all my
amazing.
class. It's more than amazing. It's
It
way more than
is.
I could have orchestrated. So what
Yes.
I try to inspire women is don't think you can't do something until you've taken some steps towards doing it.
Yeah. Well, I think about like you talked about taking your test and the only thing that you had to do to make it work, even though you didn't have exactly what they wanted. How many women just give that up and say, "Well, I mean, I'll never pass this." You know what I mean? So that's amazing. That is amazing. In all the moms that you've helped, can you think of a success story that maybe in the beginning, like the first time you thought, "Okay, this is definitely what I'm supposed to be doing."
I could have more than one story.
I'm sure you could have lots.
Um, One of the stories that's real, pulls at my heartstrings,
Mhm.
when we had the storm here, where everything flooded really badly,
Yeah. Mhm.
there was a mom up North Beaumont whose house flooded. She
Mm.
had 2 daughters, and they were about probably at the time, they were about 9 and 10 years old, and, she got in touch with me, and I went and met with her at a coffee shop. And she told me her story while tears just streamed down her
Yeah.
face because, her husband they had gone t after the storm, they had gone to look at their house and the damage that it
Mhm.
had incurred, and the next day, he committed suicide.
Oh my gosh.
It still gives me chills.
Ugh.
She was just in a state, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
We were able to get her through that grief and
Mm.
get her she is had already started a degree, so we knew she was a good student. She finished a degree in registered nursing, which is not easy.
Right.
Now, not just a registered nurse working in a major hospital locally, she is going back to get her nurse practitioner license,
Wow.
and that's a story that I tell people because you know, you can't blame her. You can't,
Right.
stigmatize her for that.
Right.
She's done everything she can do, and those girls are now
Mhm.
in high school, they're grown, they're older. I hear from her every once in a while.
Yeah.
But my first story was the older woman that came to us who had already started school several times, wanting to get that degree all through her adult years.
Yeah.
And we got her through a 4-year degree in social work.
Wow.
And she went to work in a local high school on contract, and those students still call her,
Oh, that's awesome.
even though she's no longer there, she's somewhere else,
Yeah.
but just story after story. We have a
Oh,
police
yeah.
officer. We have a mom who's a police
Oh,
officer.
wow.
Yeah. Hygienist, radiologist, we've just had
Love it.
great experiences with these women. Uh, I like to let people know that there's a lot riding on the shoulders of single parents. It's
Sure.
probably the hardest job in the United States to
Yeah.
be a single mother because you don't get the breaks.
Right.
Most of them don't get any
Right.
support. They don't have, and most of them maybe don't have a way to earn a living that's enough to support their children. So
We've talked about how you've helped these moms through your nonprofit, but tell everybody about your nonprofit, what it's called, and exactly how this works.
It's now called Single Moms Empowered with the capital ED for
Mhm.
education. And they can go to the website. They can go get there easiest on Facebook and then go to the website from there,
Okay.
or they can get there probably through my webpage. But the thing is, the moms have to be committed. They have to prove themselves that they're
Right.
really going to do this
Mhm.
because sometimes they get into something. Oh, I want to be a nurse. I want to do this. And they realize it's a little bit too much while you're raising your kids to do that. So, so we have a vetting program.
Mhm.
We have a mom that interviews them. We have a board that will review them after that. They fill out an extensive application. They have to
Yeah.
have some letters of recommendation. Then they have to show that they're doing the enrollment process. We have LIT here, which is Lamar Institute of Technology. It's a
Mhm.
2-year program. They have some really good programs.
Yep.
And we have Lamar Port Arthur, and those are the best places for them to start because you
Yeah.
can get an LVN in Port Arthur. Uh, we don't encourage 4-year programs right now because it's a lot of money
Right.
and it's harder on them. But it's best if unless they're already into it and halfway through
Sure.
it.
Sure.
But what we do is then each mom is looked at as an individual. We don't have
Mhm.
a cookie cutter system.
Okay.
For example, some moms need help with childcare. If
Right.
they have young children, they all need help with childcare. But once in a while, we have a mom whose kids are older and she doesn't need that. We help with tuition and books, of course,
Wow. Yeah.
and any kind of fees that they might have. Sometimes they get up on graduation and they have to have certain equipment,
Yeah.
whether it's a stethoscope or, whatever,
Yeah.
we help with that. Once in a while, we'll help with some kind of emergency that they might have that they weren't
Mhm.
expecting
Yeah.
because we don't want them to have, excuse me, we don't want them to have so much time spent at a job
Right.
because we want their energy spent on getting that degree.
Sure.
And we want them to get degrees that lead to employment.
Yeah.
They could get degrees like I did, like theater and art. Doesn't work too well, but you can love it. You can love it.
Sure.
I had to go back to school to get a teaching certificate in English because I couldn't get a job with 3 kids and doing
Yeah.
theater. There wasn't
Yeah.
any way. And
Yeah.
so I did that. I didn't love that,
Yeah.
but it was necessary.
Sure.
Um, so that's pretty much the system. So for 2 years, we kind of provide them emotional, spiritual, and financial support. And I'm very pleased with the board that we have. It's not a huge
Mhm.
board. That I was advised by a very successful person here in town to have a small working board, and that's
Yeah.
what we have. And those women have been wonderful. We have bingo events that raise thousands of dollars. I could
Wow.
never have done that myself,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we have some people who know how to do it.
That's awesome.
And, you get sponsors and so forth, so
Sure.
we do that. I'm always willing to talk to people across the country who
Mhm.
want to do something similar because there's not enough. There are some
Mhm.
organizations doing something like this.
Yeah.
There's one called the Jeremiah Project. There's, Buckner in Texas,
Mhm.
that do this sort of thing, but those people have million-dollar donors.
Yeah.
And we weren't quite there yet, but,
Yeah.
maybe someday.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that y'all are doing this. Now, is this for women that are just local or is this for women across the United States?
It's mostly local women
Okay.
in the Southeast Texas region,
Sure.
but I'm always available to coach and help other people across the country
Yeah.
who would like to do something where they are.
Right. Good. 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 What is something that you've learned about yourself through all these years and all the things that you've done?
That I can take on too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ask your mom about that. I've got a vision, I'm just gonna do it, I dive into it, and
Yeah.
then the people that come along to help me say, "Did you do this? Did you do," and I go, "Mm, no, I didn't," but I know how to get the right people together,
Yeah.
do what needs that I can't do, to do the things.
Yeah.
I'm not an accountant, so I have
Right.
somebody else that can do the accounting.
Yeah.
I'm not really a good fundraiser. So I
Right.
have to have somebody else that understands that.
Sure.
Delegating is really big, and,
Yeah.
I've recently hired a grandson to help me in the office, and he's
That's
happy
awesome.
to do it,
Yeah.
because he needs the money and I need the help.
Right.
Like, I'm doing press releases for the books,
Yeah.
I've got stacks everywhere, and,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things I've learned about myself is that I take on a
Sure.
little too much, and I don't know how to balance my energy. Older you get, the harder that
Yeah, it is. It
is.
is. I'm learning that myself. If you could go back and tell your younger single mom self something about what you're doing now, what do you think you would say?
One thing I would say for sure is to have more confidence
Mm,
in that small voice that you hear in your heart.
yeah.
It's hard to have a lot of confidence when you come out of a divorce the way I did.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, and that's one of the reasons that I went to school, back to school, because it did build my confidence. It helped me a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
Um, but like even when I was working and I knew how things should be different than they were, I didn't really have the confidence to put my foot down
Right.
and say, I'm not doing this. This isn't right. This is too much, blah, blah.
Sure.
But the thing is, I didn't have that kind of people thought I did, but I didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't really. And when you have 3 kids to support,
Yeah.
you can't risk losing a job.
Sure.
And so you do what you gotta do. But,
Yeah.
I think that would be what I would have told myself when I was younger.
Yeah. That's good. Is there anything I have not asked you about that you wanna tell me?
Oh, goodness, sure, there's a lot. Let me think. Oh, golly. Um, I do have stories about things that happened that were way beyond coincidence.
Yeah.
We have a granddaughter who came from Russia,
Mhm.
and I think you may know a little bit about that.
Mhm.
Every day, I remind myself that I do not know the best thing to happen.
Right.
Even though I think I do at the time, I do not know what should happen next. I need to pull back and be quiet.
Yeah.
That is something I share in the book, and I share stories that teach us, taught me specific lessons
Yeah.
about life. Yeah,
That's good. That's you're learning that we're all learning, but that's what's important.
it's a learning experience
It
for sure.
definitely is. So, well, this has been wonderful, Gail. Thank you so much for being a guest and sharing your story or part of your story with me. I know it's probably a lot longer and a lot more detail, but I appreciate you sharing it with me.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be very encouraging to people.
I hope
So,
so.
it
That's the
will.
whole point.
That's the whole point. That's why we're doing this.
Yes.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Alrighty, ma'am. And I'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye-bye.